Um, Currently merging the Book of the Dead into the Rune Pouch with the Grandmaster quest is like the #1 thing that jumps out to me. Which they've said they'll do at some point. They said we'll gain the innate knowledge of the Book of the Dead at some point, but we just ain't there yet, apparently. But I think that's the biggest one that's needed of, like, just minor PVM shit. It's just one inventory slot that is... It's powerful enough that they can lock it behind, like, a Grandmaster quest and call it a day. In my humble opinion. Like, you just don't notice that it's there, but it is annoying the odd time that you don't have it, and then you just can't cast the fucking spells. Like, that's kind of dumb. I feel like a CA tier reward would be more fitting. I don't, cause like, they lore-wise can make it just make sense with just the next quest in the current quest line. Like, the quest where you get the spells in the book and the knowledge from, like, lore-wise, they can so easily write the Book of the Dead out of relevance with just some knowledge that you gain from a Grandmaster quest. I disagree, just based off that. Like, it's just, like, the next logical progression. Like, you unlock the spells with, you know, the fucking master quest where you fight the Yama guy, and then you fight his big daddy later, and then maybe you unlock a new spell or two, and then you no longer need the Book of the Dead. Like, that would make sense as, like, an expansion to the Arceus spellbook / progression to that, like, quest line. I'm fine with them putting PBM benefit on CA reward tiers. They just... A thing like that is... They would have to put it on, like, Elite to make people not cry about it, I think. Master is too stacked if you get 2-minute thrall timers and remove Book of the Dead. And then Elite is stacked as fucking shit with the superior chance in removing Book of the Dead if you put it on an Elite. Like, it's like... It becomes too much of like a, oh, you kinda have to get it if you wanna be efficient, which I don't really like. But, like, as someone who is GM, I think as good as the PVM benefits from CA tiers are as, like, motivation for people, if you're grinding CAs, if your motivation isn't just like, I want to do this thing, it's challenging and it's fun, it's so easy to get burnt and demotivated and fucking annoyed at the CA system. So, like, the more it feels like a necessity that you need to get a certain tier of CAs to be efficient with PVM, I do think it is kind of cringe. Like, that was the whole logic behind them removing the 2-minute thrall timer from GM and moving it down to Masters. Because you should never be like, oh, I need to get GM because I need my 2-minute thralls. Because then there's just more and more of a market for servicing and all the bullshit for people who just want it for the thrall timer, and it's like, it just sucks. So, like, they do have to be semi-careful about, like, locking more and more PVM benefit behind just blanket CA tier rewards. But, you know. It is, but, like, there's also a mindset that so many RuneScape players have, and they can design the game in such a way that it feeds into that unhealthy mindset, or they could design the game in a way where it rewards the people who really want it with just, here you go, it's cool, and then it doesn't force any of the people who have that obligation, that FOMO, that, like, unhealthy relationship with, like, having to do something that they might not have done otherwise. If there's just, like, a hard efficiency benefit to doing something like GM. Yeah, but you have a more healthy mindset. Like, I'm just talking this from like, the broader, like, most people fucking don't with this game. Most people really don't with this game. And, like, they do adjust things in such a way to give, like, a better feeling to players when they've set it up in such a way that it is creating more of that negative feeling just via their game design. Like, specifically, the one example of this is the 2-minute thrall timers. Like, 2-minute thrall timers being on GM, all it did was make a lot of people who weren't gonna get GM previously or didn't give a fuck about it feel like they had to go get it so they could have 2-minute thrall timers. And then on top of that, it just made a fuck ton of people service it, because 2-minute thrall timers is efficient for PVMing, and if you're doing any mid PVMing, you might be using thralls, ergo you might quote-unquote need or want GM. So, like, that was a problem, and they eventually saw that and removed it and moved it down to masters. So I think, even though it is just a game and people should just fucking grow up and get over it if it's something that they don't have, if game design is purposefully or like even like accidentally by proxy feeding into that, I think it's good for them to design away from it. I think it's good for them to do their best to like not lean into that. If they know their player base will do fucking crazy shit and like, ow, dude. Yeah, if they were to add Book of the Dead to a CA tier, I'm like, yeah, add it to Elite. Like, removing Book of the Dead. It just makes more sense to add it to a GM quest, though. Lore-wise and, like, accessibility-wise, you can add requirements behind it, like, it just makes sense. I don't think there is either, but there is a balance to be found, is what I'm trying to say. I'm a firm believer that there should be no in-game benefit from the grandmaster tier of CAs. I get that, like, there has to be in the sense of, like, something. So, like, you get, like, the ability to, like, do the Zuck pet hunt without tasks, whatever, like, that's cool. That's fine and dandy. I'm a firm believer there should be no hard, like, efficiency benefit to generic PVM from having GM. Masters, different story. Elite, different story. Hard, different story. This specifically the Book of the Dead thing, just to me makes way more sense to be just the next quest in that quest line and not just tacked on to a CA tier. I'm so fine with the current, like, in-game, like, proper gameplay benefits of the current CA tiers. I just don't think GM should have any. Because all it does is feed into servicing to a very high degree, and it gives people a very bad feeling when they feel forced to do the GM grind rather than just wanting to do it because it's fun and it's something they want. That's my main opinion. Just don't put anything on GM. Leave the rest of it on Masters and below, because it's accessible to the majority of the players and no one needs to have that FOMO of feeling like you need to do an infinite upkeep of GM tasks as new content keeps out to maintain your PVM benefit that you've had. That's what I think. No, but it doesn't help. And it's beyond that. Beyond that, which was my other point, is, like, the whole GM grind should not be because you feel like you need it to speedrun Inferno, or because you feel like you need it to have 2-minute thralls, or because you feel like you need it to do Nex efficiently. Like, that's cringe. They should have cooler, more visual shit, more cool fucking in-game flex shit on GM, but, like, why is there in-game benefit? Why is anyone doing this grind because they feel like they need to? And if we're saying that that's not a real thing, we're just lying, because that's how RuneScape players engage with the game. Like, so many people quote-unquote burn out on the GM grind because they're not doing it because they just want to do the task. They're doing it because they feel like they need to for one reason or another. We shouldn't add to that feeling of need, is what I'm saying. Or the players who care specifically about the rewards. Yeah, but that's a grind that shouldn't specifically be about rewards. That's what I'm saying, Nico. CAs, at that tier, at the highest tier of do the most specific, the most difficult, the most... You shouldn't be doing those things because it gives you an in-game benefit. That's what I'm saying. At that point, it should only be you do it if you care, if you really want it. Otherwise, it just leaves more and more people with a negative feeling about the grind and the fucking... the random CA tasks that they are asked to do throughout the grind. And then when they do it, when a new boss comes out, oh, joke's on you, whatever benefit it was, whether it was 2-minute thralls, whether it was taking away your Book of the Dead, whether it was next KC, you don't have that anymore, actually. You literally don't have it, and now you have to upkeep it. That's so cringe. That's such a fucking annoying thing to have tacked on to a system that is supposed to be there to, like, push you to get better and be like, this is some difficult shit. Once you've done Master and everything else, it's supposed to be like a do this if you dare, and then you get like a cool ass helmet and you move on with your day. I don't think having like some in-game PVM benefit adds to that. I think it only takes away from it, and it will make some people's grinds feel significantly more taxing because they feel like they have to do it rather than they want to do it. I don't think it adds a single thing to the feeling of accomplishing GM. It doesn't, in fact. I know it doesn't. You're not celebrating because you got unlocked 2-minute thralls. You're celebrating because you did this insane grind and accomplished all the tasks, right?
Want to give a massive shout out to all of our channel members. Big shout out to all of the heroes and legends. Thank you all for supporting the channel directly and helping me put out all of these videos, keep my streams live every single day. I appreciate you all more than you know. If you want to help support the channel directly, please consider joining and becoming one of our valued channel members, boys.